was thinking about the question. It's something that Kevin has asked me before. I don't know if it was on air, if it was like just in general, but are there any gun companies? This is going to be controversial, but are there any gun companies that preach like innovation or, you know, super high end that you just think they're just overrated? Like it's not.
That's the truth. That's a spicy.
Like I have one, and I almost don't even. It's an uneducated opinion. I've only had minimal experience with them, but I always say like Hodge AR-15s. So expensive, people pay crazy money for them, and I just don't know what they do different. Like
that's kind of how I feel about B&T a little bit. Yeah. Like I kind of fell down the PCC like realm for a little bit, but like you look at all their products, they're all like the same in some form or fashion. They just like add a longer barrel or change this, but it's not really a different product, right?
No, and a lot of them are copies of other things.
And like I think they have just such major manufacturing like capabilities that they're able to make something that's ugly look pretty and produce a bunch of them, and you see them like that shelf space awareness makes them who they are. Not to say their products are bad. I just don't think that they are. I mean,
they're super interesting to me too, just because I mean, for the things that you said, and also I've never really seen like a ton of marketing from them. They definitely don't do the like using, you know, influencers or like they don't go that route as far as I know.
I think you just see the product everywhere,
right? That
like, and they're like the name B&T, like it.
Yeah, and then having
Squick
on there.
Yeah, like it's. And they're able to make like so now they're really getting into suppressors, it seems. Yeah. And then like the additive manufacturing or 3D print, like they're able to make some competitive silencers at a even more competitive price point. And with silencers being the talk of the industry for the last 3 years, I think they've taken a lot of, like I said, I call it shelf space, like shelf space awareness. Like they've taken that in your face. Because like there's so much of it, and like my former gun store, we carried so much B&T stuff. Some of it sold well, some of it didn't sell well, and some of it I liked, some of it I didn't like. But like it was there, and you know, like one of the things that we've not been great at is producing product, right? And producing product at the right time, I think, and I think they were able to do that. So but if they weren't, will we be speaking about B&T?
Right,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe. I agree. They make some cool stuff, and then they make some stuff. That
no shade to B&T. Shout out to I think what his name is that works there now. I don't
think I know anyone there. Yeah. You kind of brought up a point that may be worth talking about right now. Is like, and I know, so I didn't get a whole grasp of it the first time this kind of came around, but I saw a little bit of what happened. But like Hearing Protection Act stuff. I don't know if I think it's exciting for a lot of the consumer. I had just started in the industry when the last go around, quote unquote, and I do remember hearing mumblings about how it kind of fucked everybody because people were like, for X amount of time, they're like, I'm going to hold off on buying a can. And I'll wait till they're off the registry, and then I don't have to pay. So the actual, I guess the silencer industry or whatever, took a pretty significant hit at the time. I don't foresee it happening the same way right now, but I am curious what do you think happens if overnight? We don't have to. Everything they said is true.
I think there's two ways to look at it, right? From the industry and like business side, and then like the actual individual user, like, citizen B, right? As a gun loving, proud American guy, like I believe in the Second Amendment wholeheartedly. I think you should be able to buy a fucking cruise missile off Amazon.
Fuck yeah.
Right? Like that's how, like, when my parents ask me, like, we get like in the politics, like how Second Amendment how pro 2A are you? Like that's how pro 2A.
Yeah.
I think you should be able to walk in Walmart and buy a Stinger missile.
Hell yeah.
Like that's how pro 2A.
Right.
Yeah. So with that being said, like anytime I see something about citizens being able to buy it, making the path to purchase any firearm or accessory, that's essentially what a silencer is, just an accessory, right? Yeah. Easier. I'm like 100%. I want everything to do with that. Like the Second Amendment said like, shall not be, shall not be infringed. And like, that was literal. Like that wasn't a figure of speech that, but from a business standpoint, I think it's all predictions. Like what, I think you've seen Silencer Central took a lot of flack recently.
Yeah.
Which I
think some of that was
I 100% think so as well, but I'm not super informed. So I'm not going to like speak wrong on that.
I don't think super highly of them in general, but
yeah. But then like, I feel like you've seen like a bunch of companies just flock towards like the American Suppressor Association. I've even seen some comments like, I don't see Q supporting this. And it's like,
Kevin
just FYI, Kevin started the American Suppressor Association.
Yeah.
Like there would be no American Suppressor Association if it wasn't for Kevin and his previous company. So let's just start there. Number one. And I don't think there's not a soul in this building that doesn't support that. Like we all want you to be able to walk in the gun store, whether it's a Q silencer or whatever, whoever other silencer, like shooting with the silencer is the right way. But like it's fair to think like there are some businesses that would be potentially afraid that this could pass. Or I think here at Q, like we're going to stick to our guns. That's not going to change our company culture, right? We're going to continue to make the most innovative and best products, silencers that we can, and make the silencers we think you guys need, or not even the silencers you guys haven't even thought about yet. Like we're going to continue doing that and make it, hopefully with this passing, will just allow you as a consumer to enjoy your God-given rights easier.
Yeah.
So.
The one thing that, and I don't even know if this is really controversial, but the way that I saw it from the consumer point of view, or I guess even from business standpoint, is like, if it all passes the way everyone wants it to pass, whatever, do you see there being, at the level of technology that we, and I don't mean we Q, just the industry, at the level of, or the space in which we are in technology-wise, our capabilities, do you see there being a market for a $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 can?
So what I think will probably happen is some of our larger competitors, I wouldn't call them competitors, but some of the other larger companies in our space will probably dabble in the silencer game. But they will probably
that haven't before.
Correct. Yeah. But they will probably make very average silencers, like just to say it's a silencer and it's a selling point to sell in their $600, $700, $1,000 gun.
Yeah, sell it for $300.
And I think that'll just make the market for higher end cans, higher performing cans even bigger.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think we'll probably see, like, I think Kevin is cool. Like, we've been a part of, like, I feel like a lot of the early discussions and a lot of our stuff in our industry. But like Kevin, we started the free silencer promo last year. We wanted to ship guns with the complete system. Right. And like Kevin's vision, in some of the meetings we've had recently, is shipping every gun from Q with the silencer. This was long before this even happened.
Right. Yeah.
So this just allows us to do that. Right. Like just allows us to ship a gun with a silencer, the complete system from the factory. And I think we'll probably see some other companies follow suit. We'll probably see Ruger shipping in their Mark IV with the silencer. We'll probably see them shipping their Ranch rifle with the silencer. Or what's an American with the silencer. But I think
there's always a place for that in the market, though, too.
100%. I mean,
it's the same as like Ferrari's still a company, Porsche's still a company. Like,
and to the guy who probably bought that American, will maybe buy a Thunder Chicken or a Speakeasy or Blind Tiger. Maybe not, but I think he'll quickly realize, like, oh, this can is cool and this gun is nice with this silencer, but I want better, right?
It's also going to make it a lot easier for those people that maybe never would have bought our cans, because, and I know it sounds crazy, but it's like it's not even the price of the can and then the tax stamp, but even just then I got to wait, do this. Like now, if they can just go buy it over the counter, they may be more apt to go, you know what, let me try this can out.
Yeah.
And then especially because if they don't like it and they want to resell it for any company, then you don't have to go through the Form 4, you don't have to do all that. Like they may be more apt to try things out, which is good for everybody.
Also look at, like, when I buy a gun, right? I will not go to a gun store and buy a gun unless I have the money to bring the system home, right? So like if I'm buying a Sugar Weasel right now, like I'm going there with money for the gun, the optic, the mount, the flashlight, the pressure pad, the ammunition for the gun, magazines, and now would be the silencer. Which before I would like, I could buy this. I could put the silencer on layaway. I don't have to get it.
I've got a can I can put on.
Yeah, but now it's like, well, I'm not leaving without the silencer. Like, just like you don't leave pretty much without a box of ammo. Yeah. You don't leave without the silencer. And like, I hope that's what happens.
One thing I'm curious to see, and it was just a kind of a fleeting thought. Actually, I talked to Liam about it too. Is I wonder if you'll start seeing ranges make cans mandatory, especially like an indoor range, that kind of thing. Because I mean, it's essentially PPE. It's you get your eye pro, ear pro anyway, and maybe your can, or maybe it gets to a point where it alleviates people having to use ear pro. Probably not liability wise, but mandating cans. I think because I mean, I don't know it for fact, but we always talk about whether it be Europe or places in Africa or whatever. And it's like, oh, if you want to hunt, you have to have a can.
100%. Yeah.
So I think it would be cool to see that.
I just thought about a con though. Not for Q, but companies that make guns that weren't designed to shoot suppressed.
Yeah.
There's going to be I'm not going to say any names. So there are definitely guns out there where you cannot, if you put a suppressor on it, like from the factory, the engineering, like the philosophy was not designed around shooting suppressed. Right. So
yeah, that's going to be,
those guys are going to have to
either going to have to
get with the show. But
yeah,
I mean, like, it's silly that you have to pay $200 and wait for some, arbitrary amount of time. Like you should, it's silly. So
on something that, everything else, and we've talked about it before, but everything else in the world that makes noise, your car, your lawnmower, your chainsaw, they all are required to have a muffler on them. But something that is so close to your face and that people use all the time, both recreationally, professionally, and hunting, I guess that's recreational, they're like, no, we want to make it prohibitive. To the point where it was so funny that, I don't know if you saw the article, that was a few weeks ago, that the ATF, some of their agents were like, oh, we shoot so much, it's hard on our ears, now we're going to start getting cans. It's like, how ironic.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy, though, because then they wouldn't buy Huck's first cans.
Yeah, exactly.
So they might as well not use the silencer. But, I don't know. I'm curious to see. I hope that it goes through.
I do think there's a lot of misinformation with it, or just a lack of information. I mean, it's the same idea as like when, like the stuff with Texas, where it's like, oh, as long as it's stamped in Texas, you don't need this is before all the HPA stuff, but man, I think it was like Idaho did that before, and there's a lot of motherfuckers in jail in Idaho for that shit. Like, I don't think people educate themselves nearly enough. They just hear like, oh yeah, so if I live in Texas and it's made in Texas, I'm good. It's like, well, federal law is still a thing.
Yeah, and it'll be part of our responsibility to educate the customer, and just like with guns, we somewhat do now, but like it'll be our responsibility to educate them even more. Yeah, with silencers. I think people have to realize, right? Like, yeah, we're Q, we're a company, we're polarizing, but at the end of the day, the heartbeat of the company, the people who make up the company, like the individuals, the sales team, the marketing team, the production guys, the engineering team, Kevin himself, we're all citizens just like everyone else are, and we want guns and silencers just like everyone else does. Yeah, I think it's funny. I think we oftentimes get caught up in the whole like wait times or the $200 stamp or blase blah. It's like, oh, we shouldn't have to do this in the first place. Right. The next check this is all. Yeah, we shouldn't do this. You should be able to walk in a gun store and buy the silencer like it was a bottle of COP. Like, give me cash. I walk out with it and it's mine forever.
Yeah, I definitely have like because I feel that way, but I also have the understanding of like, because when people, it's a hard topic to talk about a lot of people, and I think a lot of guys that are into guns, when the topic of like gun control or gun problem comes up, it's very just like fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Yep. And obviously, you're never going to change anyone's mind that way. So you have to have this understanding of like, was it infringed upon? Absolutely. Like the fact that we have to fill out a 4473 in and of itself is an infringement upon our right. And it's bullshit, but it's where we're at. Yeah. So you have to be able to acknowledge that, hey, it's where we're at, to then help educate these people. Because so many people, if you just give people the statistics, anyone that's reasonable and that isn't just looking for confirmation bias or isn't just looking for a fight, and they're willing to listen to you, a lot of times when it's the same thing we do with hunting and conservation. Like if you put yourself in their position where you realize like, oh, they've been told all of this shit their whole life. They genuinely don't know because they didn't take the time to figure it out. Understand where they're coming from and realize like they're coming from a place of like hurt or sadness 100%. Or whatever.
And you will never be able to convince them. It's like you're almost, 100%.
So if you want to at least try, you got to come at them from a proper point of view. And we like,
or perspective, they can at least be willing to.
Exactly. You don't have to change their mind, but if you can get them to agree to disagree, that's progress. And the more progress that you can make in that way, like that's my biggest gripe with a lot of the people that we run into, and not necessarily even in the industry, but kind of the consumer industry adjacent, is just shit talking the quote unquote opposition. And it's like, well, first of all, don't make them the opposition. Like, sure, there are people who actively want to take our rights away. 100%. That 9 times out of 10, or we'll say over 60% of the people that you run into that are boisterous or that are loud about it, they don't know. They just don't know. The thing is,
they just don't know.
Right.
And it's our job to, like, as interacting with another fellow citizen that's just, for lack of a better words, lost, right? Like, it's our job to just present them with the facts.
Right.
Not my opinion.
Yeah.
Not my emotions. Like, present them with the facts. And if they choose to, like, turn their nose up and walk away, then whatever. But at least you have the facts. You weren't fed something from somebody else that's not true or full of emotions.
And in having that conversation, especially if you're in a public setting or whatever, someone around you may hear it and maybe quietly on their side and realize like, oh, even if they're not like, oh, he's right, I believe him. It might just be enough for them to go.
Just to go home and look it up.
Yeah, I should look into this.
Yeah, or listen to a podcast. Yeah, yes, that's a good point. You never know who you may like influence that wasn't the direct, target of the message.
Yeah.
So.
Are there any trends? It's funny because I think we've both been in it long enough to see, and if you were interested in guns before, I think there's a lot of things that are cyclic. We see things that didn't work 15 years ago that are starting to come back.
Yeah.
Specifically, like my thought on is like gun bunny things. Like gun bunnies didn't work 15 years ago.
Gun bunnies always worked.
Just to an extent.
Yeah. What's the definition of work?
Yeah, that's true. Like I'm trying to think. I guess I think of our consumer, like the people that I want to align with brand wise.
Yeah.
I think they see through it, but
yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think there's a way to like associate with gun bunnies and they don't become a part of your brand.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't want to go on our Instagram and just see, as much as I personally love ass and titties, like I don't want to see that on our Instagram, right? Now, if there's like every now and then like an attractive woman that's oiled up and glistening and shining, holding one of our products that decides like I'll support that, but I don't want that to be a part of our brand. Like I look at like you go to our page and you see our content and people that's content that's not our stuff. It should look almost on par as if they were an employee of Q.
For sure.
They were a member of the marketing team because essentially they are, right? Like they become a part of the Q brand.
100%.
But yeah, like that's not who we are as a company.
As we grow as a company and as our products start reaching that professional end user more and more, I see the place for the tactical application.
Yep.
Is it my cup of tea? Not necessarily. But that's another one that has always clung on, and for good reason. I mean, people will if they see Terry Huyen stand up and say, "Hey, I was a Navy SEAL for however many years. I was at the Tier 1 level for 17. I used this gun and it does cool shit." People are gonna go, well, "I trust him," and they're gonna do it. So I get it, but I love to see these, whether it be in a magazine or even a quick clip or whatever, guys all kitted up, all this shit. They're making entry into a house or whatever, and they got pistol braces on their gun.
Yeah.
Or like some shit like that. Like it's so transparent. And I feel like that's, I don't know. That's what I loved about Q in the beginning, especially, is like Q was like a skate shop. Like you came in and people were talking about shit other than guns. Guns didn't take over everybody's life.
Yeah.
They're pulling things from other industries and likes. Like everyone the group, I mean, even our team right now, like we all have different likes that are all semi-adjacent to the industry, and we're able to pull, I think, those influences. I just feel like there's so many companies, big companies especially, that, well, I know the answer. They don't do their marketing in-house. They just outsource all their marketing. I do think there's going to be a huge paradigm shift, though, because I think a lot of those big companies have a lot of old dudes running them, and when they flip, or
I think it's all about like what's your intended audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I got into guns in the industry kind of off the cool guy, like what did Dev grew, what did they operate, what are the setups they're running? Mm-hmm. I want to mock that. But I'm also like just a regular dude, right? Like I grew up in the city, so like I like hype beast kind of culture. So like I like to blend those two.
Yep.
And I think that's a lot of what Q is.
For sure.
But then at the same time, like we have a lot of overlap in our stuff, right? Like some of the super serious hunting guys, and like we do a lot of hunting here, obviously at Q. We do a lot of our products are special operations and like legit operators run. Oh, yeah. So those are two, totally different end of the spectrums there. And then like I'm just me, the little cool guy in the middle that's not really associated really with either fully. Yeah. But I like both of them, and I feel like that's what Q is we have overlap, right? Like we're able to just do a little bit of it of all of it. So
yeah, I think that's important. It's something that as we get bigger and bigger, I think we always have to at some point check back in at like, hey, whoa, we are bigger and we're doing so many different things, and it's good because we're going to reach more people. But I think it's important to check back in and understand like, hey, what was Q, and what got us here. So but I think that we're doing that as we grow. I think now, especially like we've got like our team specifically, I feel like is in a super solid groove, and we've got like direct leadership that has it figured out. Yeah. And I mean, Kevin's been gone since March, so when he gets back,
we miss you, Kevin.
When he gets back, who knows? It's up with anybody. Who knows what's going on? Yeah. Might go to war with another company. We don't know.
Speaking of, we'll get into that later.
Yeah. We've kind of talked about, kind of trends or whatever, but we brought it up in a different, the survival kit thing. But do you have, if you can think about them, what are your top 3 non-Q guns? And you can either make it by like a type of gun, or they could all be 3 rifles.
I think it's pretty easy for me. Non-Q. Well, it's weird because all these guns I own, and I don't even use them anymore. Now that I'm employed by Q. But the gun that like got me into bougie guns was like the Knight's SR-15. Was like the gun that I had to get. I thought that was the pinnacle of AR-15s. Like that was, there was no other. This was the best like modern sporting rifle category, right? Like this is the pinnacle of that. So like, whether it's true or not, like that was the gun that I thought it was before working at Q. So I bought a 11.5 CQB SBR, and I have the 14.5 SBR. So I would probably say just the SR-15 family, general number 1.
Do you put SR-30 in there as well? Like, do you consider that similar?
Yeah, I consider that in the same. I've never owned an SR-30, but I consider that in the same.
Yeah, it's just a caliber change.
Yeah. I would say 2, the Scar.
17 or 16?
So I just the family. Yeah, I think the Scar was like the gun where I was like in high school, and I was like, you know what? When I get a real job that pays real money, I'm gonna buy a Scar. So I think the Scar 17 is probably the gun that I'm like referring to in my head, but I actually enjoy my Scar 15 more than my Scar 17.
Really?
Yeah. So I ran like working at Bullseye, Scar. At this point you couldn't even find Scars. Right. Like, now they're a dime a dozen. You can walk in any pawn shop, pretty much find a Scar. But I bought a Scar 17, and then I bought the Scar 15 like 2 months later. Damn. SPR, both of them. Every single one of them now is probably 10 grand worth of stuff in the gun, silencer. That's how I got into reduced back pressure cans, was because of kind of piggybacking on something else we talked about earlier. But like I realized like, hey, this other can I have will not work with this gun. Yeah. So this one OSS was still a company. Now they're Huxworks, but I bought an OSS can for both of those guns. Yep. But optics, I mean, easily 10 grand. So in those guns, so
especially if you want to put on, like, I mean, with the 17 at least, like, you can't just pick any optic and throw it on there. It's got to survive it.
Yeah. Then I bought the Kinetic Development Group. They make their own little mount that is supposed to be SCAR rated. So I bought all the things SCAR, the Parker Mountain machine, like the jets for it. I had them actually cut my barrel down, and then I sold it and bought the factory. I had it all. Yeah. Like I probably haven't picked up my SCAR in probably 3 years, 4 years at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'd probably say the SCAR family 2, and then the 2011. I'm gonna say 2011 family. There's 3, but like probably Staccato was like the first 2011 I bought. I remember when like the P came out, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice." This is how crazy I went in like 3 years. I bought the P, then the Tuxedo P got to Bullseye. So I bought the Tuxedo, traded that one in, lost like $600. Damn. Bought Tuxedo, was not optics ready. The XL came in. I'm not sure if it was already out by then, but bought the XL. Then I discovered the XC, and I was like, damn, I got little boy. Bought the XC. Discovered there was like the C2, this carry gun.
Oh, right.
Bought the C2. Then the CS came out. I bought the CS.
Damn.
I gave
you've had every Staccato.
100%. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So I would probably say the Knights SR15, just family of guns, number 1. The SCAR family of guns, number 2. So 16, 17, but kind of more specifically, the 17 was like my baby at the time. Like, when I got my SCAR 17, you couldn't tell me nothing. Like I thought I was a man, you know. And then the Staccato. I'd probably say this 2011 family in general. Then I fell in love with the Atlas line.
I was gonna say, are you like an Atlas?
I bought an
Athena.
Guy? Yeah, I couldn't go further than the Athena, but I bought an Athena. So so I give me your 3.
So Kevin kind of gives me some shit for being nostalgic, I guess, and we've talked about it before. We're very interested in the modern stuff, and I'm not I am, but I also, there's a lot of old guns to me that are super cool.
Yes, none of that does anything.
Yeah, which I grew up just being a wicked little history nerd, especially like World War II, and then as of late, a lot of the kind of from.
I have a serial number 69 Mosin.
That's pretty cool.
That's kind of cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Lately, and within the last probably 3 years, I've been interested in like from like hunting rifles from like the Great Depression to, you know, modern times, I guess, and just like what everyone was using. But I've said it before, but like my favorite automatic gun, it's either the Stoner 63 or the PKM.
I feel like the average person knows what a PK. I could be totally wrong. Knows what a PKM is just from the War on Terror and seeing that on TV and CNN. Yeah. But most people don't know what the Stoner 63 is.
No, yeah. So the PKM looks wise is just like, it makes sense to me, and it feeds opposite direction. I don't know, it's just crazy. But like, it's just
to me,
cool
it looks
gun.
like what an AK would be if it was a belt-fed machine gun, right? Like it looks like a belt-fed.
Yeah.
It looks like that's what a belt-fed AK would be.
Yeah, and like obviously there's like AK, then there's the RPD, RPK, PKM, whatever. So the PKM is obviously, it's the big belt-fed one. It's basically like an M240 but for Russia. But the Stoner 63 is for so long that was just like my favorite gun in the world, just in general. And then the first time I went to Kevin's house and he pulled out like multiple variations of it, I almost threw up.
You cry.
It was insane. And,
why do you have this?
And it's just such a cool design because it's so modular. I mean, you literally can flip the gun upside down and change things. So you can have it in the belt-fed configuration, and it's like top charging or bottom charging. Then you can flip it upside down, take some stuff out, swap the barrel, and now it's magazine fed. And there's just different. There's a like a heavier version with a bipod, and like there's just so many different versions. I forget exactly. I mean, I want to say 3 to 5. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they were pretty prominent in Vietnam with some special operations units. But just such a cool gun, and like you said, not a lot of people really know about it.
Yeah. I feel like if you walked into a gun store right now and showed somebody a picture of a PKM and a Stoner 63.
Oh, they would know the PKM, but not
they would 100% know what that was. But probably could not describe what you just did.
But if you told them, if you looked at it and like, I don't really know what that is, and then you said the Stoner, I know it's been in enough video games that people will be like, oh yeah, I've played that. I've played with that before.
Yeah.
So I'll say stoner. I'm on a huge Revolver kick right now.
Y'all on these goddamn Revolvers. Just for I want everybody at home, I want to paint a picture. So you're at your desk, you're working, you're doing your thing, like you're having a great day, and then you hear the reference of guns. Like we're working at a gun company, so there's always guns, but you hear the reference of a gun that's not a gun that you currently make or sell, and you're like, okay, whatever. And then you can hear like some type of like rustling and you can kind of tell that there is a firearm that's been presented in some form or fashion. Once again, that's not a Q gun. And then all you start hearing is click, 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 and you just hear like a hammer. I'm like,
yeah,
Jay,
yeah,
Jacob,
Liam. Colin's all into it, but he doesn't have one. I don't think.
Theo.
Oh, Theo got an airframe.
They have the Revolvers out right now.
Yeah. Everyone's just showing each other the trigger. And
so I just put my AirPods on. Like, please leave me alone. I don't want to hear anything. Click, click,
no
click,
bangs,
click,
no
click.
cracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I will say, luckily, all of us having experience with the firearm and being in the industry, for the most part, are safe.
You'll scare me.
It can be scary in here. It's just gotta keep everybody awake. But yeah, right now I've got my 19 on me just because it's the
Glock 19.
Yeah, it's just the greatest.
I'm naked right now.
It's greatest carry gun of all time. But that might be another.
Yeah,
it's the most prolific carry gun of all time. We can get into it.
Yeah.
But revolver wise, so I love a Colt single action army. I love a Schofield, like the old school 1800 cowboy shit.
Yep.
But I think like,
Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, but if I could only have one of those, it would be I have one, and it's not one of those, but a revolver. It would be a Smith & Wesson Model 29, in 44 Remington Magnum. You can shoot 44 specials out of it too. It's the Dirty Harry gun.
Yep.
I have a 4-inch. I don't have I think people say his was the 6-inch, but I'm pretty sure he had an 8 3/8 in the movie. I might be wrong, but they made it 8 3/8 at one point, and then 6 and whatever. And then with Smith & Wesson, they'll do like a 6 whatever. So like I have like a 442 J-frame. They make the 642, which is the stainless version. So the 629 is the same thing, but it's in stainless, black grip. It's like it's got a mountain profile or a tapered barrel, so it's like the mountain gun. It's lighter. But yeah, I would say that Model 29. So Stoner Model 29. And honestly, I used to say it all the time that my favorite gas gun, but I'm thinking of like
is this number 3?
Yeah. I'll stay away from. Yeah, I'm just gonna say Model 29. My favorite gas gun that I've always said was SR25 or some variant of it, whether it be like the Mark 11 or the M110. I think off the top of my head, I immediately go to M110, the SASS or the M110 SAS. But Kevin has a Mark 11 that's super cool. And the differences are just like, Mark 11's Navy, M110, and Mark 11 was before. It was a little earlier. But the SR25, I think, same idea with what you were saying with the SR15, where it's like the pinnacle of AR-10 platform, or like that special. It's more than a special purpose rifle. It's a designated marksman rifle, basically, but precision gas gun. I mean, they're heavy as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
But that's a gun you pick up, and it's similar to. I mean, even how I feel about the boombox or the honey badger or whatever, but you pick up an SR25,
you feel special. Yeah,
and you're like, oh, someone gave a shit when they put this together. And it's weird because there's a difference between that and like a Model 29, an old revolver. Those were all hand fit. Every fucking person that everything's hand fit. They shimmed this or trimmed this or whatever, and you feel it and you go, oh, someone cared about this. Even with a Knight's gun, you pick that up, and the SR25, it's substantial. It's got weight to it. Everything fits nice. Like it's slick when you rack it. It's just you look at every individual part and you're like, man, someone gave a fuck about this gun when they put this together. And it could be I've never been to Knights. It could just be some tweaker from, Florida that's just got his headphones in and geeked out just putting parts together. But they're made
special.
they're made super. Yeah, exactly. And so that some form of the SR25, I would say. I'm just gonna say Mark 11 just for the novelty, even though M110's probably cooler.
So yeah, I would probably say if it wasn't for the Scar, it would be, SR25 would have been on my list. Yeah. But I got my like 308 taste from the Scar.
I feel like a 13-inch Scar 17 is like the perfect quote unquote battle rifle. Like,
I would bring that. I mean, that little gun would fit in my Challenger with the stock folded, little 20-round mag.
Boot.
Man, I see. As crazy as I probably put less than 200 rounds through that gun.
Yeah, it's like I had a Staccato, put 0 rounds through it and sold it.
Yeah,
I needed
maybe 200 on the dot.
Yeah. Damn. Did you hear the ACR's coming back?
I heard.
Yeah, they made an announcement. I forget what they're making.
I think maybe I heard you talk about it. I heard somebody else were talking about it.
I just saw it real quick on Instagram, but they Bushmaster made an announcement saying, "Hey, we hear you guys."
And what caliber?
5.56, as far as I know.
Yeah, I want a 300 block caliber.
They might. It would make sense if they did, but they were like, "We hear you guys. We're gonna bring it back." They gave no time frame. They're like, "We're not gonna give you any sort of timeline. We don't really know." I think they're buying parts from Remington and stuff. Like there were some surplus parts, whatever. But they said they're gonna do it, which is cool. Honestly, ACR never did anything for me.
Yeah, it's Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ACR was like super flat.
Right.
I don't think it would make me go get one. If I got like a hell of a deal on one, I would go get it.
Yeah, it'd be cool. But I know a lot of motherfuckers that's their dream gun.
Yeah.
The ACR, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a buddy of mine who has one of AAC's ACR SD silencers they never sold. So he bought it from like a Remington executive, and it's pretty fucking cool. But
do you have? Because you just said when we were talking about our top 3 that you owned all of yours. Do you have a dream gun that something that you just are like? Well, maybe it is obtainable for you, but something that it's just like it's a dream gun because I probably will never have it.
That's a good question. It's tough. I've either owned it, played with it, shot it. My buddy owns it. Kevin owns it.
Right.
Some type of. I want to add a transferable to the collection.
Yeah.
Just to have one, but outside of that, no, I can't own an F-22 or F-16 or anything. So, no. Is there anything you?
Mine are weird, obscure ones. It's like, I mean, one of the coolest guns I think in general is the Winchester 1895 that Teddy Roosevelt had when he went to Africa, and he and Kermit shot like 500 animals or something.
Yeah.
That's a cool one. For me, like unobtainable would be like, some of these double rifles that we see the guys in Africa have. Like to get a legit, I mean, if you want, like I was talking to Jason Vincent from Field Ethos about it, and it's like, in Rad too, to get into a double rifle, if you want one that's what they deem affordable and not get a piece of shit, you're starting at like Krieghoff. And Krieghoff, you'll get, anywhere from a 6 to 8. That like basic models, like $6 to $8 grand.
See, I just see those guns and I'm like, yeah, nah.
To me, it's just because I'm so interested in the history of all these things. Like, there's this dude, Karamojo Bell, WDM Bell. He killed thousands of elephants, and that fool started with. He was using 303 British for a while, but he was using 6.5 by 55, which is similar to 6.5 Creedmoor. Yeah. It's a little more potent, I would say, but he was braining elephants, and he shot over 500 elephants, or I want to say it was over 800 with 6.5 55 until one fucking stepped on him, and he's like, I need to step it up. But when he stepped it up, he just went to 7 mil. He went to 7 by 57 Mauser, which is still super undergun. Like in all of our minds, it's like a fucking. I mean, it's not even 8 millimeter Mauser. Like it's the Germans were shooting at us with 8 millimeter Mauser. He's using 7 by 57, and he killed thousands of them with that. So like, I'm super interested in those things, like the Hemingway 1903 Springfields that he had when he went to Africa, and just things like that.
Bro. I gotta hear your opinion on it.
Yeah.
And then as an employee of Q, what's your opinion? The OCL. situation.
Oh man.
Like,
well, it's weird because so I'm gonna assume we're talking about Southpaw.
Yep.
I have a different view on all of this because
I bet you have a very similar, but yeah.
Well, because I say this because I've spoken to dude. I personally think, based on what he's said, both in conversation as well as publicly, that when he talks shit, OCL sells cans. And it's not necessarily just shit about us. It could be about anybody. He admitted to, like, when his brother passed away and he was selling T-shirts for it or whatever. This was the same time as the Southpaw shit. He then took screenshots of it. On his story, he said, "Did I start a bunch of shit to boost T-shirt sales? Like, one day before posting a T-shirt to boost sales?" He's like, "Yeah, and I'll do it again." Like, he's admitting to it, which is whatever. It is what it is. Like, if my whole thing though is it's just like hoe marketing to me. Like,
yeah, that's fair. It's
not real. Like, his cans are fine. Like, I've told people before, like, even in regards to the Southpaw, if you're not shooting all of the fucking time, like, you're the average person, you go shoot even 200 rounds a month, which is more than most people. Like, it's like you go shoot at the range once every 6 weeks and you put 200 rounds down, whatever. And you just want something to take the edge off and you just don't feel like I need to spend $1,000+. Sure, you can get a good deal. Like, the money you're going to spend with OCL, you'll get a good can. Like,
yeah,
there's other companies you'll get a good can for too. For me, it's just, because the general public doesn't see it. I don't understand how, we've shot at events, like we've been at public range events and all this shit and been right next to the OCL booth. None of those dudes talk shit in real life. They're all friendly dudes. Like, we went to one, it was at Capitol Armory. One of their guns, it was like a 12-inch 308, kept going down. You could just tell it just was dry. It was gunked up. Like, I lent, dude, hey, do you need fucking CLP? Yeah, here you go, of course. Like, that's probably,
yeah.
Kevin probably like, man, fuck them. But it's like, hey, they're trying to sell a product. We're all here to do the same thing. Like, if our guns were going down, I would hope someone would help me, whatever, that kind of shit. And he was friendly. He came, shot our cans and was and had good things to say about them. Like, and then after this whole shit with the cutting our can in half, and the big aha was like, it's simple design. It's like, yeah, and it's still quieter. Like, all right, that's the aha. We already said that. We said it was simple baffle design. But he came up to me at the SHOT Show booth, shook my hand, and was like, hey, like, I just love to talk shit. Like, it is what it is. And, like, at first I was like, that's fuck shit. Like, why would you do that? Like, I shouldn't even be talking to you. But at the end of the day, like, I get it. Yeah, if that's, you should be able to sell your shit just off merit. I don't know. If that's how you want to sell, that's how you want to sell. But that's not how I would do it.
There's a famous quote from a famous poet.
Yeah.
Offset.
Yeah.
But they do anything for clout, right?
That's right.
Like, you do anything for clout.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like you said, you try to come up to me at SHOT Show and dap me up. Like I ran into him in like the Allen Arms party a few years ago. And like, I saw him coming from the other side of the bar, and I'm just, whatever. Like, I'm just gonna keep walking. Like, for me, it's like, if I don't like you, if I didn't like you, Jay, I would never say your name.
Right.
Right. Like, if we had real beef, or like there was something between us, I would never mention your name. Like, why would I? I don't care about it. I don't like you. But he comes up to me and he's like, bro, I love Q. Like, and I only reason I talk, do this because I know I'll get a response from Q. And I almost like feel like by even mentioning it right now, I'm like giving him what he wants.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, bro, there's levels to this shit. In the words of one of the other famous poets, it's levels to this shit, young boy. Meek Mill. Like, it's
and that's the thing is, I think people expect, like, what he's doing. Do I think it's cool? No. Is it has he said anything about me specifically, or even about, like, I don't even know. I haven't even seen anything that he's even said about Kevin specifically or whatever. But, like, is it to the point where it's like, oh, well, we got to squabble? No. Like,
it's not. That's kind of where my brain go. I'm like,
Well, that's the thing. The only thing that I told him when I saw him is that he said some shit that was like, it was something about like, we don't just blah blah blah, like we bang or like we'll bang or
that
some
was
shit.
the original post.
And
I'm
I was
like, be careful, bro.
Yeah, hey, there's some bored motherfuckers out there that might take that seriously.
Yeah, like I'm with it.
Yeah.
So like, but then when I see you and you're like the nice guy, I'm like,
yeah.
I almost was like disappointed that something didn't happen.
And that's the thing, because he's very friendly, like, or like his demeanor is very friendly. Yeah. I get it. You know, I don't know. Like I get where his side of it. It's not the way that I would do it. Is it like an on-site thing? No. I'm not, like you said, I'm not going to ever go out of my way to be like, hey, man, would love to see you. But if he comes up to me, I'll answer his questions. Like,
I don't know. Where I'm at now, I'm like, I have nothing to say to you. So, yeah. I'm just going to probably ignore you. Like, if he came up to me at shot right now, but just.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is like, he explains, like, you know, I don't have to tell you. He's like, Kevin was an inspiration to me. Like, I know it sounds dumb. And it's like, bro. In my mind, I'm like, bro, imagine if you said that shit publicly and you were like cool with Q, like, because there are other companies that were cool. Like, we Q are cool with Silencer Co. Yep. Like, Kevin has spoken very highly of them. He said, you know, I like they've always done stuff technology wise that I thought was cool. He's like, they've been very like modern with their marketing and stuff like that. He's like, they do cool stuff, whatever. Imagine if bro came out and was like, from the beginning was just like, you know,
I'll rock with him.
I like Q, blah, blah, blah. Like Kevin and Ethan may at some point have been like, oh, hey, we saw this thing. Like, maybe you should try this. Or like, yeah, sure, we'll help you out do X, Y, Z. Like, who knows how that could have been. And that's only going to make your company better. Like, to me, if you're like your social worth, like everything is about who can vouch for you. If you're vouched for, at least in this industry, that's everything. Like, if you're vouched for, you're vouched for. Like, I would rather have 15 people who are, you know, well respected be like, yeah, we like that dude. Like, he's a solid dude, blah, 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 than have, you know, the 70 people in the underground be like, he's one of us. Like, we fucking hate all of you. It's like, that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he could have been more successful if he was cooler, like, publicly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
If he was just, if he was trying to be. Granted, I'm sure he does fine. I know OCL cans fucking sell. I'm sure he's doing all right, but
yeah,
I don't know. That whole thing is deep. I think it's fucking stupid.
It made us. Can't make enough southpaws right
exactly.
now.
Yeah,
so.
we can't keep up with orders. Yeah, so it's like it didn't hurt us. And that's the other thing that I think Kevin tries to explain to people is like, you guys, anyone can say everything they want, but he's like, it does not make a dent.
Yeah.
In what we're doing. Like, it doesn't, you're not taking any of our customers away.
It's weird though. It's like, I love this company so much and I love everything that we are as a company. And then when I see certain stuff, like, I take it personally.
I do too.
Like, almost like you feel like you're talking about my mama or like, you know, like,
dude, I mean, I didn't work here for a year and a half. Like, I left and I found myself same as when I worked here, being up at 1 a.m, responding to people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Being like, you're full of fucking shit. You don't know your shit. Blah, blah, blah. Like, defending, not even just Q, but like people say shit about Kevin. Like, I shouldn't have to fight. Kevin doesn't need me to fight his battles about, you know, what he did this or didn't do that or whatever. And it's, but again, it's like a loyalty. It's like a, you know, he gave me opportunities that I've had. And also people don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
100%.
Like,
yeah.
And I mean, I feel that way about like, it's been pretty good a lot of the times. And like, granted, Kevin takes a lot of the heat off of us because a lot of the heat toward Q gets funneled into like, well, the product's fine. We just don't like Kevin, even though they don't know Kevin. So, but when it comes down to like when it comes down to people being like, oh, all the people at Q have their head up their ass. Well, you know what the fuck you're talking. Like, that's when I start getting pissed off. Like, you have no idea what you're fucking talking about. Yeah.
It's also like, I think people got to also realize probably over 100 years worth of gun and silencer development alone in this building right now.
Yeah.
So, like, one of our engineers probably has, and I see all the like engineers, whatever, but like one of my engineers probably has more experience than company combined.
Think
so
about
like
the contracts. How many contracts between Kevin and Ethan? How many contracts, like military contracts, between the two of them they've had over the 20-year global war on terror? More than most people. Yeah. And like Ethan's name is on more patents or whatever than like most people will ever have. I'm never gonna have a patent to my name, dude.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I gonna patent, dude?
Yeah, I this morning when someone sent me like the Pew Science rating thing, whatever, I kind of think about it. I'm like, I think that's a controversial thing in itself, Pew Science.
Yeah.
whether you like actually believe that it is controversial.
100%.
But like I truly wonder, like, is I don't want to call it rigged, but like, is it fishy? Right? Like, I look at, like, we test some of those same cans and like, men lie, women lie, but like the numbers don't lie, right? Mm-hmm. And some of those things we find out it's not the same. And I think slowly, like, I seen something that said like the Huxworks can is like one of the quietest cans. And I'm like, all right, well, that in itself tells me you're full of crap.
Yeah, like science just says that it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, like what do you think about?
Or not even science, but common sense. But
physics.
I think
I want to get Ethan on here one day, but Ethan gave me sorry, I cut you off. But
no, you're good.
Gave me a good. I think he still has it on the whiteboard out there, like a graph, and it was like, sound, and then like,
was it like weight,
cyclic rate,
yeah,
and it's like it'll never be, there is no magic, right? Physics is physics, right?
Yeah,
and so like, do you want to prioritize sound? Sure, but your cyclic rate goes up, right?
Right, yeah.
Or you want to prioritize cyclic rate?
Yeah.
Well, then sound goes up. Yeah. And so like, as a company, like with the Lefty, one of our new reduced back pressure cans, right, is like, where are we comfortable being at on this graph, right? What are our competitors? Where do they last? Where do they stack up? Then where are we happy being at, right? Mm-hmm. But like, there's no free lunch, right? There's no magic perfect.
No.
So I see some of the other stuff. I'm like, well, it's just physically not possible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kevin said it before, like back in the day, silencer companies would post their numbers, but then they stopped doing that because how do you know? They could just lie. They could see, oh, Surefire said, 154. So let's put 149 on ours. Like, there's no way to tell. People take Jay's word as gospel, I think, from Pew Science because he's the only person doing it. Yeah. I have no beef with Jay. He's a nice enough guy. He has been to Q. He built a gun at Q.
Yeah. I think that minifix he uses.
Yep. And he's also said good things about, like Full Nelson. He was like, that's the quietest, based on his test, was the quietest thinner blackout subsonic can on the market at the time or whatever. That said, he also has very good equipment too. But I don't know. I'd have to go look off the top of my head, and this could just be me. People might be shouting like, "You're a fucking idiot," but like, I don't know how he does his test in the sense of like, I don't know if he does multiple atmospheric conditions. I don't know if he does different altitudes, or if he does it all in a controlled lab. Like if he's just doing it in a field out back, we saw in the Pew Science or the Q Science thing that we did, which people probably assume is rigged too because it's us promoting our own can. But like, first of all, as much as I tell everyone, I'm not a fucking engineer. I rely on the engineers to explain the fucking tests and all that shit. Like, I couldn't rig it if I wanted to. I don't know what the fuck. Like, I don't know how to run any of that equipment. Like, so I just shoot the fucking gun and it says the numbers. So, and as I'm shooting them, Maddie's calling the numbers out loud. So like, that was not rigged. But we made a point in that video, and Maddie says it a bunch, is that we use one can as a control, and that like we use the M4 2000 as the control because throughout the day, the numbers will probably change just on atmospheric conditions, whether it starts raining or it gets 20 degrees hotter or the barometric pressures change. There's all these different things and more. There's way more factors than I even know just because it's not my area of expertise. But the issue with numbers, and I'm sure it has something to do with back pressure or it affects back pressure in some way, but I don't know about that. But the issue with numbers is just that like Jay puts out these numbers from Pew Science.
Not you.
Yeah, not me. Other Jay. He puts out these numbers. They could change the next day. And I know that his numbers are kind of a quantitative, it's based on the number itself is not just sound. It's like sound, back pressure, and it's all his metrics. But in general, like, I just don't know. Also, originally he wasn't taking any money. Kevin loved it. It was whatever. Whether he takes money or not, I'm not the one I don't know for sure. The rumor in the industry, the rumor amongst people that have approached us unsolicited and said, hey, we wanted to get our can reviewed by him, and it was X amount I won't say the amount of money, but like, regardless, it could be $5, but they said it was X amount of money. We were told it was X amount of money, and we could select the cans that it was tested against, whatever. Whether that's true or not is not my place to say. I don't know, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that Jay is not he doesn't have integrity, because I don't know if I assume he does. Like, he's a smart dude. I'm not gonna it's not my place to be like, he doesn't have integrity. I don't know, dude. He's doing his test. I know it's based on he means well. Like, it's based on he's just trying to spread the information, and it's coming from a good place. There's shit obviously behind the scenes that we don't know about that he either does or doesn't do. Like we said, the different atmospheric conditions and this and that. I just don't think that should be your end all be all. And I think that's the biggest issue I have with the consumer being like, I want to buy a can, or any company puts out a new can, and I look in their comments, everyone's like, well, what's Pew Science have to say about it? Well, dude, why don't you go fucking shoot the can?
I think he does a good job of giving the customer a digestible way of evaluating a silencer.
For sure.
And even when listening to his podcast, he has a very soothing voice.
He does. And he's very well spoken. He's
very well
spoken,
very articulate.
Yeah.
And
he's
so
friendly.
he does a good job. If I had to say one thing, he does a hell of a job of like the consumer, the listener, like, I want to sit here and listen to more of what he has to say.
Because we experience it, like, our engineers sometimes will ask him a question and they go into the depths.
Straight up nerd mode, and I'm like,
fuck, I don't know what you're saying.
I'm even more confused now than when
you're
we started.
right. He's very good at understanding that the consumer may not know exactly this, so he does a very good job at breaking it down for the layman. Yeah. And his data is pretty easy to, if you understand how a table works, his data is easy to break down and to read. The way that he presents it. If you didn't know anything about anything, you just looked at it,
you're like, read that black and white.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. But my issue with that, though, is that because he's the only one doing it, that automatically makes him the guy. That said, there are so many other things that are important in a can. Like, we've talked about POI shift. POI shift alone, like we've talked in-house about that rugged. Is it rugged that makes the Alaskan?
Yep.
That can weighs 5 ounces. Loud as shit. But it weighs 5 ounces. I don't know anything about POI with it. If it has no POI shift for a hunting can, that's a fucking sick can.
Yeah.
You don't notice it at the end of your gun, and it's not changing your POI. Like, so you zeroed your gun and fucking whatever. Granted, re-zero your gun with your fucking can on. But that's important for a hunter. Sure, it's just enough to take the edge off to where it's not harming me, or it's not, my ears aren't bleeding. But otherwise, like, it's not quiet. It's probably not super durable. Like, all these things that people want. Who knows about the fucking back pressure, because I'm shooting on a bolt gun, so what does that matter? There's
the right can for the right situation.
Exactly.
Is the real thing.
And I just wish, and hopefully, to, as a callback to this HPA thing, if that does pass, hopefully it allows people to try different cans. I think that's a big thing, where it's like, because even with the Pew Science, you're like, oh, I'm a first time can buyer. He compared it to this, and this can. I guarantee you the majority of new gun owners have never heard of fucking M4 2000. 100%. Have never heard an NT4, or maybe even a SOCOM, like an RC2. Like, they would have no reason to have heard those. So I think that's what's hard. I wish that there was a way for people, and granted, you can go to your local ranges and XYZ, and maybe they'll let you swap, but most of the time it's like the can that's on the range gun, you're going to shoot that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's a good way. Think about it, like even the Huxworks cans, like they were super popular, and they're reduced back pressure cans. People fell into it because they were used to getting gas in the face.
Right.
But then when those cans are actually like not hitting the market, but like hitting the consumer's pockets or, shelves
4.4s were 10 to 12 months. People kind of started realizing, like, damn, this is I gotta put ears on. This is not the silencer I actually wanted.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always going to come down to it sucks because it's the blanket answer for everything, and it's the answer to a lot of the questions that we get about, hey, what can should I put on this gun? It's like, what is your use case?
Yeah.
And there's no free lunch, and there's no single answer.